Is anyone doing any work these days? It seems the whole world is working from home. No wonder the economy is in the doldrums. And viewing figures for this morning, Holly Willoughby, have gone up. What's going on and what does all this mean to property investors? That's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, I just want to tell you about the UK's largest and #1 property investors networking meetup. We get 300 people, 300 passionate property people, whether they're beginners or highly experienced property people, meet up in central London for the one and only Baker Street Property Meet. Meets on the last Wednesday of every month. Get your ticket at bakerstreetpropertymeet.com. You'll be able to meet Andrew and myself and hear from other property experts there to help you further your property journey. But seriously, folks, all this working from home has an impact on property investors. That's what we're going to discuss today. And I'm here, as usual, for Property Breaking News with Andrew Roberts. Hi there, Andrew.
Hi, Ranjan. And what a fantastic story we've got today. I mean, wow.
It's phenomenal. I mean, we'll come on to the private sector in a moment, but in the public sector, it's really acute. I mean, what's going on with these guys?
Well, going through the statistics, I mean, let's take this back to the top. Jacob Rees-Mogg, the MP for Efficiencies. I mean, can you get a better job title than that? MP for Efficiencies.
Well, I'm sure you can get a better MP than that, but go on. Comments, tell us what you think in the tip below, but go on.
Well, Jacob Rees-Mogg, he's sitting there and he's analysed the efficiencies of utilisation of central London office space used by the government.
He's got too much time on his hands, hasn't he? But
I think he's not being very efficient there. But what he's concluded here, Ranjan, is that some departments are not really using the space efficiently. If we take the Department for International Trade, 73% of their employees are working from the office. Now, does that mean the other 27% are abroad doing international business? I don't know. But when you look at the Department for Education, only 25% of them are working from office.
Now, what sort of message does that give to young people at school on thinking about skiving?
I don't know.
When the people running the schooling system are doing that.
Well, when they're skiving themselves, I'm just thinking, it reminds me of Jeremy Corbyn.
Go on, why?
Why? Well, I don't know.
What have you got that mug for? At least it's blue.
As your favourite MP, the one who likes to object to your planning applications, I thought I'd just support him.
Well,
today.
yeah, that's another story altogether. More on that on another video. Okay, so Jacob Rees-Mogg has highlighted a problem that's really acute in the entire civil service, in the entire public sector. We've had this situation where anyone trying to get anything done with the council is in trouble. I don't think I told you this, but one of my team is doing something for me, has been chasing up someone in the council, and they were apologising for why they didn't get an important email out. And you know what the excuse was? Why they could not get an important email out. Sorry, I wanted to send the email yesterday, but my cat was on the keyboard. This is an excuse coming from a working from home person in a council department. I mean, can people really be as productive?
Well, that's certainly quite an interesting one, and I've not heard that excuse before. But I know I've personally had problems trying to get hold of planning officers.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're under-resourced, it's that they're working from home. And they're only answering the telephones between 11 and 3. Now, I wish I could answer the phone between just 11 and 3. And furthermore, and I think this will make another great topic for another video. If you want this topic, comment below because we'll dig out the data and we'll research it for you, is how many of the permitted development applications or planning applications have run over time?
Yes. Because with our own development, of course, it ran over the 56 days. This is our Leicester project. I'll put a link to a couple of the videos on that particular project. But it's 56 days for a planning PD application. They decided on it too late. with the classic excuse. Why?
Well, I'm sorry, we were on holiday.
Yeah, after working from home, not doing much. They were on the Easter holidays. So the 56 days passed. And, basically, under Class MAPD, if you go over if the council takes longer than 56 days, you've got it anyway by way of deemed
Default.
consent.
Yeah.
But the council didn't know that.
Well, it's because they obviously hadn't had their CPD because they weren't talking to each other across the office desk.
That is very, very true, because there's so much that's learned from the water cooler, from discussions among colleagues, cross-fertilization of ideas. You can get procedural tasks done, but it's difficult to innovate on those tasks, to figure out how things can be done better.
Absolutely.
And it's difficult with distractions as well. And we only have to see what's happened with the passport office.
Well, I would agree with you, and I would further chuck in the fact that if you're a youngster, you've just left university and you've graduated, or you are on an apprenticeship, how do you learn the job? How do you get the corporate culture if you're sat in your bedsit room or your bedroom trying to do your job? It's almost impossible to work out what's happening.
But this, we'll get back to the video in just a moment. What is the most exciting opportunity in property right now? And that is repurposing defunct commercial buildings to residential use. Now, most people don't really know where to start, what to look for, and how to exploit these opportunities. And that's why I've prepared 90 minutes of free training for you to get you started on this wonderful journey. You can register for this free training at property-workshop.com. Join me on that free training, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the video. I mean, we are seeing in public sector buildings largely empty.
Yeah.
And, there's a report where the BBC staff, don't you just love the BBC? This is a classic. The BBC staff are threatening to quit their jobs. Look, you guys, we don't need the one show. You can just watch this channel instead. It's far better. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon and all of that. And if you guys at the BBC are watching and you don't want to work, go, it's fine. What's going on there? It's ridiculous.
Well, I was going to say, there's enough people out there would give their hind teeth for an easy job at the BBC, let alone the people who are already at the BBC who don't want to return to the office. Now, I'm just picturing Dancing with Ice and the cameraman remotely operating the camera from his bed. Come on. You're working for a production company. You have to be where your work is. I mean, it almost brings us back to something we were chatting about over lunch earlier, where, what careers can you not do from home?
I don't know how that works. I mean, if I get a acting part in EastEnders, what do? I could do a Zoom background for the Queen Vic and I play the part at home. I mean, what's going on there?
Well, I'm just thinking spot welding. Let's get the spot welder in to come and weld some panels on the car, but he's going to do it from home.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But, okay, it's extreme in the public sector, but in the private sector, there is more flexible working.
Absolutely.
But it's nowhere near as much. And there is something going there with changing working practices and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I was actually reading a lot of global stats here on working from home. Now, 16% of companies globally have 100% of their workforce working from home. That's quite a big statistic. But on the flip side of it, 44% of companies have got no staff working from home. Now, I'd like to see the hospital surgeon working from home.
Well, I think a lot of the managers are.
Yeah.
But very few of the nurses and doctors.
Absolutely. Now, an interesting statistic furthermore was 73% of employees said they're more inclined to stay working for their employer if their employer allows them to work from home occasionally. And then I looked at the data and the statistics more specifically in the UK. And when you've got departments like the Department for Education with 75% of staff working 5 days a week from home, And then in the private sector, here in the UK, 32% of staff have worked 1 day in the last 7 days from home.
Yes.
Now, put that into context. We as taxpayers and, property investors and landlords on this channel, we pay a lot of tax into the system, especially through all the Section 24, which I know you've done some great mitigation videos on the channel, but we pay a lot of tax, and there is hundreds of millions of pounds worth of central London real estate which is empty. Now, to me, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, the City of Westminster is the only borough in London that's got a blanket Article 4 saying use Class E buildings cannot be converted to anything else. Well, if you've got 75% of the Department for Education not using their building, what a waste of space.
Now, this is a good point. I mean, to bring this back to property, of course, many areas, we've got permitted development rights to convert offices into residential use. And there were many councils pre-pandemic that had Article 4s, and these prevented those permitted development rights being implemented in those areas. Now, what the government had done is that they've automatically extended all those existing Article 4s preventing office to residential conversion until August 2022, by which time the councils need to reapply. Now, the rules and criteria for getting those Article 4s extended beyond August 2022 are going to be far tougher anyway, but because of the oversupply of offices, because of changing working practices, there'll be more stock available. How hard do you think it's actually going to get for councils to renew these Article 4s?
Well, we did a previous video on this particular topic, and I think it's going to be a bit like trying to push a camel through the eye of a needle. It's going to be incredibly difficult to renew these Article 4s, because when we read the legislation, it says, in order to introduce a new Article 4, it has to be to the most minimal number of buildings affected and to the most or the smallest area possible. Mm-hmm. And when we look back to the Secretary of State for Housing, what he basically did when he rejected 13 councils' Article 4 applications is he said, no, at most I'm going to accept one street. I want you to be more specific and to justify why that building needs protecting.
Yes. Because before they'd do blanket wide, sometimes in the whole borough. Or just draw an arbitrary map line around the whole town and say anything in this area cannot be converted to residential. And
that's what the Royal Borough of Kensington did.
Yeah.
We're special because we're small.
It's a number of factors that's causing this. It is not just the fact that people are working from home. It is a fact of globalization and work being done in different parts of the world where people are more specialist in different areas. It's also simple things like the change of the equipment people have. You don't need big CRT monitors that are, it used to be that the monitor, your computer monitor was as deep as it is wide now.
Yeah.
So you needed deeper desks and more floor space. You don't need filing cabinets because stuff is in the cloud. You don't need big photocopiers anymore. We just don't use them anymore.
A lot of people are working on tablets and using their plasma TV as the monitor.
Yes.
And they're Wi-Fiing between the two.
Yes. And then, of course, there's the artificial intelligence and the automation of many admin tasks, which is now done by software rather than people. So there are real reasons why we are getting more stuff done with less office space. Mm-hmm. So therefore, these buildings are being defunct all over the space, all over the GAF.
Well, I think what I would sort of chip in at this point is your next video on this channel will be brought to you by artificial intelligence.
As opposed to comments in the description below. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, do like and all of that, and comment and enter into the discussion of what you think. But the other factor that's going to bring about a greater supply of offices coming onto the market is, of course, the big R. We are entering into a recession. Recessions mean that businesses will fail, and particularly weak businesses which aren't at the top of their game will be the first to succumb to failure, and their real estate will then come onto the market. And so what we're seeing is, for all sorts of different reasons, a lot of commercial office space real estate come on the market at the same time with no office use. So what's going to happen to them?
Well, for me, I look at this and, if we go back to the R word first, recession is, or the technical definition of recession is 2 quarters of negative growth. Now, I think we need to expand up on that and look at the fact that it's not going to be 2 quarters of negative growth. The Bank of England and pretty much most of the world's economic authorities are saying there's going to be a global recession. So this isn't UK local. This isn't something we can influence on a micro scale. This is a global thing. Now, with all the buildings that are going to come to market, and I know we run the commercial mastermind, we've got quite a few students who are buying sort of multi-million-pound buildings, which are offices, and converting them to really nice quality flats, which either they retain and rent or they trade on and sell. So that is where the market is going. And with the permitted development rights, the fact that these offices are use class E, and the fact that you can convert them in 56 days very quickly and very easily, provided you understand the checklist, the simple checklist, then you can put the ball in the back of the net quickly and uplift the value of those buildings significantly.
So there's plenty of information about this on this channel and details of some webinars and things that we run to help you out and get started with all of that. But there's going to be a lot more opportunity because a lot more defunct commercial spaces coming available. That's it for this video. If you haven't already done so, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also comment and tell us what you think of Andrew's shirt in the description below.
You live in the USA.
I do live in the
You're over
USA.
here on business.
Yes, I am.
And you've made a special trip to come here to the Baker Street property.
The quality of people here is better than quite a lot of the other meets.
Come all the way from California, and one of the reasons why I'm here, to meet like-minded people, other investors, build my network, and continue learning and growing in the property industry.
I found it's quite informative, and I can meet a lot of amazing people, so I keep coming.
Great knowledge in a great environment with like-minded individuals.